It sure is looking like the very first Nintendo Direct of 2025 is going to be next week. We've got big evidence that points towards next Wednesday as our magical day, plus more announcements and news to discuss. So good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Hope you're all doing freaking fantastic out there because this is insane news. Now, this is not the big Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Let's make that very clear. That one's in April. But this February Direct is probably going to be the last Nintendo Switch 1 Direct and could still populate our system and our year with some great games, and it'll be a great insight into what is going to be saved for Switch 2 and what franchises are instead coming out this year on Switch 1. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Who's ready for a Direct? Who's ready for a Direct? I think it's only fair that they're making us wait for the April Direct, that they give us one super soon. And we also have to talk about new NSO freebies, a Capcom Direct, and more, but let's get straight into the details on why we think that this Nintendo Direct is next week. We started talking about this immediately after the Switch 2 reveal that PH Brazil said, hey, there's a February Direct right around the corner, so at least there's that. There's going to be one more big final Switch game. It's like from a fan favorite but kind of niche franchise, yada yada. Specifics, we'll figure them out as we go, but the date. The date is big because Nintendo has used February in the past, right? Last 4 years, they had a Wednesday February Direct. In 2024, it was February 21st. In 2023, it was February 8th. In 2022, it was February 9th. And in 2021, it was February 17th. So they like to use pretty much first half of February for their February Directs. So you might be thinking, Zach, next week is not mid-February. Next week is like the very first few days of February, but there is more. And this graphic right here is just giving you the whole kit and caboodle. This is the meal ticket that you need if you want to get on board the Nintendo Direct next week train, because there's an investors meeting next week, February 4th. But more importantly, there's also maintenance for the transfer save data, transfer user data services on February 4th/5th. It's late February 4th in the US, which is going to be February 5th, early morning as well. And it's looking like this lines up with the Directs. 3 of the last 5 times they did this type of maintenance, there was a Direct either that day or immediately after, all right? So June 18th, 2024, there was maintenance for this transfer data, boom, Direct on June 18th, 2024. September 14th, 2023, there was maintenance on transfer data, boom, Direct, September 14th, 2023. Maintenance September 12th, 2022, and then there was a Direct the next day, September 13th, 2022. So maintenance on the transfer data services and Directs are like peanut butter and jelly. They go together like child fingers and glue. Plus, knowing that we have this investors meeting February 4th, plus knowing that PH Brazil said the February Direct is just around the corner, plus knowing that February 5th is a freaking Wednesday, the maintenance is late night February 4th, early February 5th, I think it is just lining up perfectly that our Direct is February 5th. And this is a great thing for Nintendo to do because then they can have their investors call and be like, bada boom, bada bing, investors. I know you're waiting for the Switch 2. It's very exciting. We're waiting for April. That's going to be really exciting. Can't tell you about that, but we can tell you about this. And they're going to show off a bunch of new stuff for Switch 1 to help fill in the calendar between now and the Switch 2 launch, as well as beyond. Like, there's no reason Nintendo can't release A, cross-gen games, and B, just Switch 1 games that you can conveniently play in your Switch 2 after the Switch 2 comes out. 99% of Switch 1 games are going to play on Switch 2, and so when Nintendo decides to commit resources to the last gen, they're also committing those resources to the current gen. Now, they might not have great improved graphics and performance and all of that, but they're still Nintendo fan favorite games that players of any console in the Switch ecosystem can play, right? Like, this is a really perfect storm for Nintendo to have an absolutely huge year from a software standpoint. And this February Direct, which is looking like it's going to be next week, is going to be absolutely awesome. You might think that it's a very small Direct, given that it's the tail end of the Switch 1 life cycle. All the big games are being saved for Switch 2, but again, like I just said, they don't necessarily have to save them for Switch 2. Mario Kart 9, 3D Mario, things of that sort will absolutely be saved for Switch 2 and will probably be Switch 2 exclusives, but a game like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond could absolutely show up next week. and many other titles that we'd be interested in, whether it's Kirby or Star Fox or Fire Emblem, could also be a part of next week's Direct, and then we can play them on the Switch 2 as well. I think this is going to be a much better Direct than people are expecting, and Nintendo will want to show like, hey, we got cool stuff, we're doing cool things, and I think Metroid Prime 4 Beyond will be the highlight and the focal point, given that that game has been promised to Switch 1 owners since the very beginning of the Switch 1 life cycle. There's no way they can get away with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond becoming a Switch 2 exclusive. That game is going to be playable on both systems and might launch day and date on both systems, 2 versions, or it might just launch on Switch 1, and then hey, you can also play it with improved performance on Switch 2. But it sure is looking like we will get a Direct on Wednesday of next week. The investors meeting on Tuesday shapes up perfectly. This transfer data maintenance shapes up perfectly, and we know Nintendo likes first half of February. We know that they like Wednesdays, and isn't it odd, right? The date of the Direct is 4.2.25, and the date of this Direct could be 2.4/2.525, which are basically almost inversions of each other. I don't know, Nintendo cooking up some really special secret sauce for us, making sure that the Direct takes place on both days. No matter which you thought it was, how you read your dates, you're okay. There's a Nintendo Direct for you. It's just one of them is Switch 1 and one of them is Switch 2. But boom, this is going to be huge, and we'll probably hear about this on Monday from Nintendo, possibly Tuesday, depending on how they decide to announce it. But this is something that we will get an announcement beforehand, unless it's a partner showcase. But nobody is really calling out a partner showcase. It does seem like this indeed will be Nintendo's normal February big general Direct presentation, and will encapsulate everything that they've got coming to Switch 1 for now and leading into the rest of the year. Speaking of the rest of the year, Capcom is getting ready to show us some of their goods with a double feature next week on February 4th. Notice February 4th, and we're predicting February 5th for the Direct, so this is kosher. They're going to have a double header with a 20-minute Capcom Spotlight followed by a 15-minute Monster Hunter Wilds showcase. Now, alert, pause, hold. They will not be allowed to announce Monster Hunter Wilds for Switch 2 at this showcase because, as we've heard and as we've seen from the Doom the Dark Ages presentation, games that even are in development for Switch 2 are not allowed to be confirmed for Switch 2 from big major partners until Nintendo opens the door. And they won't open the door until April, so this showcase next week probably will not list Switch 2, almost assuredly will not list Switch 2 as a platform for Monster Hunter Wilds, but don't take that as a disappointment or as a confirmation one way or another. If Capcom was going to announce Monster Hunter Wilds for Switch 2, it would almost assuredly take place after Nintendo's gag order is lifted on April 2nd or shortly thereafter, depending on if it features in Nintendo's actual presentation in April or not. Now, Capcom says they'll be discussing Onimusha, Street Fighter 6, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics during their Capcom Spotlight. They probably will have a surprise game or two as well, a new announcement alongside these updates, and some of these should be coming to Switch, and we could get some interesting announcements there. But again, that would be like Switch 1 announcements, which of course ties nicely into a week where we're expecting Switch 1 announcements. So the Capcom stuff will be cool. And if you're looking for something to play right now, Nintendo has updated their Nintendo Switch Online freebies, giving us both Moving Out 2 and Dead Cells as the trials for this week. So these run from today, January 30th, till February 5th. Coincidentally, it'll be ending February 5th, the day that we expect the Direct to be, and both these games are pretty cool. I gotta give Dead Cells huge props. That is a phenomenal roguelite, one of the best in the absolute business, and if you like Dead Cells, then there's a ton of different DLC, including a very cool Castlevania DLC that came out sort of recently. Nonetheless, two very cool games for you to check out if you're looking for something free and something that you want to play right now in anticipation of all the jazz that Nintendo is bringing. Defiant jazz as we wait for the Switch 2, but they say, no, we'll give you a Switch 1. And maybe they'll even have a chance to use that comical phrase once again, like there will be no information on the Nintendo Switch 2 in this Direct. They don't have to say the successor to Nintendo Switch. They can call it out for what it is and say Nintendo Switch 2. But guys, I think it's lining up perfectly with this investors meeting. They're going to want to know, like, what do we have to look forward to? And Nintendo can't say, oh, the Switch 2 is launching on May 28th. They can't say Mario Kart 9 is launching here. So what can they give investors? It's stuff for Switch 1. And I think this just makes all the sense in the world. I don't know how you argue against this. And it does seem like we have more and more leaks and rumors popping up that are pinning us towards next week and getting the gears moving for Nintendo to start announcing some stuff. because outside of Xenoblade Chronicles X and the mysterious Switch 2 Direct in April, we ain't got nothing. Oh, we do have Nintendo Experience, which is where people can go play the Switch 2 for themselves before it releases, but I did not win. And it seems like hardly anybody won those tickets. There were very few of them being doled out. They have open wait lists if you want to check for that. But people are also trying to sell these tickets for exorbitant amounts on eBay. $500 a ticket, $1,000 a ticket, $800 a ticket. Now, the dicey thing here is Nintendo says that these tickets are non-transferable. I would be insanely cautious if you want to try and even think about getting one of these tickets, but I also think the price is insane. You can wait for something like PAX East, you can wait for something like an inevitable mall tour, you can wait for the console itself to come out. It might be shortly after these events. But you could also wait for the price of these to come down. Now, I don't know if non-transferable means like, what if they transfer me their Nintendo account and then I change the profile information? Is that possible? Is that doable? Is that something that can be done to kind of like transfer these tickets without actually transferring them? Like they're not transferring them from account to account, but like just giving you the account. Nonetheless, I would be very wary and very careful because most likely if you do pick up one of these tickets, you're paying an insane price, more than the Switch 2 itself. Like just buy the Switch 2 itself, but also there's a chance you might not even get in. And while it'd be very cool to experience Switch 2 in April, I'm insanely sad that I did not win one of the tickets. I'm on the wait list. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe something will happen, but if not, I'm guessing Nintendo will bring the Switch 2 to PAX East in the same way that they brought the Switch 1 to PAX South shortly before its launch in 2017. I think PAX East in May is a great time to play the Switch and to share it with the public, so hopefully I can see it there. In the meantime, though, what do you think about a Direct next week? Would that get you excited? I know all the efforts and intensity and emotion is tied to Switch 2 right now, but like Nintendo could still impress us, right? They could still drop some games that we're eager to play, and you could play them on your Switch 1 and then continue them on Switch 2 once it launches, and who knows, maybe they will offer improvement for all their first-party games if you do move them from Switch 1 to Switch 2. Either way, what do you think we'll see at the Direct? Are you pumped for next week? Let me know your take on today's topics in the comments down below. And until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.